And so let's just finish on Borralho versus Cannonier.
Let's do it.
Coming up, good fight at 185. You know,
Yeah.
Borralho is, I believe, 6 straight wins in the UFC,
Yeah.
coming off a beautiful finish of Paul Craig.
Yeah.
This guy's exciting. He is a free spirit. And if
Yeah.
you don't believe that, he's got it tattooed on his neck.
Yeah.
And that very much embodies his fighting style. He's wild, he's fluid, he's fun. But he's coming up against the best competition that he's ever faced in his UFC career.
For sure.
In Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier. However, Jared is 40 years old.
Right.
So is Jared, who is the slight underdog here, going to be able to match the pace of a young, hungry lion from Brazil who's trying to make his way up and staple himself into the title discussion in a very crowded division? I'm not so sure. I think that Jared's going to pose. I mean, Jared always poses a tremendous amount of strength.
Yeah.
The guy's a heavyweight that carved himself down into probably the best body in the UFC.
Looks like a statue now.
He's incredibly strong. He's very smart, very technical. He's got great power in his strikes. He can beat you a number of different ways, but I just feel like the times are changing in the UFC. There's these young, exciting fighters that are coming up that are just starting to take over. And unfortunately for Jared, I think he's on that generation that's on their way out. You know, not looked so great in his last few fights, win a couple, lose a couple. Going to be a very worthy opponent, but I'm taking Borralho to get the job done. I don't know if he finishes Jared because Jared's really hard to finish.
Right.
Really freaking hard to finish. So I think I'm going to go decision Borralho.
Yeah, Borralho's great, and he's one of those guys, as soon as you see him, whether you've seen him fight all 6 times in the UFC or his last fight with Paul Craig was the first time you saw him, he has a face and a look that you remember.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that you're like, okay, there's some promise to that guy. He's a little wild, a little reckless, but I'm
drawn to him.
Right, I'm along for the journey. And I'm with you. I think he's going to be one of the guys that's the future of the division. But Jared Cannonier has fought everybody.
Literally.
And he's beaten
in multiple weight classes.
Right,
yeah.
multiple, and then when you talk about the top of the top at 185, he's been with pretty much everybody. So this, by no stretch, is his toughest fight, but this is certainly Borralho's toughest fight. And there's always a level of experience that comes out to play. When you see these older gentlemen fight these newer guys, there's always some tricks, and you don't even know what they're going to be. You can't really prepare for them because you don't know what they're going to be. And if you don't have tons of experience in your corner, tons of experience in the training rooms, then they might not be expecting it either. And then it's just something you can't adjust to in a 15 or 25 minute fight environment. So I think Borralho, this is a great fight for him. If you're finding your name on the docket with Jared Cannonier, then you're doing
at the top of a bill too, no less.
Right, you're doing something right, but also 5 rounds. That's 5 rounds. Jared Cannonier knows what to do in 5 rounds. He's very strong. He's very composed. He knows how to fight in all aspects of the game. Borralho has looked really good. He's really explosive on the feet. His grappling seems to be very promising. But I just think that there's going to be a little bit of an experience difference, and there's going to be a lot of lessons learned for Borralho when he fights Jared Cannonier. I don't think his stock goes down, and I don't think Jared Cannonier has some sort of breakout performance that's going to wind him up in title contention. But I do think the older vet's going to have a couple of moves for the young guy that are going to leave him puzzled and wondering what he needs to do. And when you have a guy who's unsure about his game plan, unsure about the adjustments that he's making, those types of things can really freeze a fighter. They can stall him. They can delay his attacks. And when you've got a guy like Jared Cannonier who's seen it all against the best guys, he's fought probably 10 people who stylistically and on paper are better than Borralho. So I feel like he's not going to see things that he's never seen before, but Borralho will certainly see things he's never seen before. And I don't think Borralho's ever fought somebody that's quite as strong as Cannonier. We're talking about a heavyweight, like you said, that carved down to 85, but definitely kept the power of a 250, 260 pound guy. Yeah, so I'm going to pick Cannonier to win this fight, but I think Borralho's tough. I don't think he's going to get out of there. I think Cannonier wins this fight. It's a full display of MMA we're going to see. We're going to see some groundwork. Jared's very good with his top pressure. His striking leaves a little to be desired, but at the same time, it's effective. He's powerful, and so he doesn't have to put volume on you or put a barrage of punches on you, he can hit you with a couple of things that really start to slow you down and start to freeze up your attack. So I think Cannonier, in my opinion, look, we go split on these predictions all the time. You're going Borralho for good reason, the young, hungry lion. I'm going with the old dog, the veteran, Jared Cannonier. I think he's going to get it done, but it's going to be a 5-round fight. And it's not going to move the needle in the division much, but we are going to see exactly where Borralho is and exactly where Cannonier stands amongst the top of the division.
Yeah, I think Caio Borralho cements his name as somebody who could be 2 to 3 wins away from being discussed for a title fight. I mean, there's certainly nothing is going to move to the point where things start to shuffle at the top of the division, but this is going to set things up for the next 24 months or so. So
he and Bo Nickel will be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that pretty much sums it up.